guys, it's the MPG Real Estate Podcast. I got Ed Gelb here, Advanced Website Strategies. What's up, Ed?
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, how are you? I'm good.
Awesome. Good.
So I don't think that a lot of people in the community here are going to know as much as people in Hilton Head, right? So for you guys that don't know, Ed is a website designer, marketing extraordinaire from Hilton Head. They do most of our online marketing, all of our website stuff, all of our SEO. They've been huge for our business, and I know you guys have been big. I know they have a variety of clients in the area, and I've seen some of the work that they've done in their portfolio, and I know you guys are big everywhere. But
awesome.
Yeah, you guys have been great. So the reason I want to have you on is because I think that real estate is a wide topic, right? And I think that more and more marketing, online marketing, is coming in on that, right? So when me and Matt talk about being real estate investors, we started out by saying we're actually really a marketing company more than anything.
That's right.
Right, yeah, and I think that that's where the whole industry is going to head. So let's talk about your background.
Sure.
So where'd you get started? You turn 18, move out of your mom's, what happens?
Okay, so I'm originally from New York.
Okay.
And I've got that kind of mentality. I say coffee and chocolate. And I went to the University of Vermont, studied communications journalism, and so I know the word, I can write well. And so after that, I actually went and got a master's at Harvard in business psychology.
Okay.
And it's learning how to work with people in business and really just sort of getting into their minds and helping them get better at what they do in their job. And so even after that, I applied all this learning with what I do with computers. And so the computer work that I do is so amazing because it just grows, it just never ends. It's everything in business and everything I've always done with working with people. And so I can literally help everybody in any capacity with computers, with websites and so on. So with you, Josh, what we did was we really looked at your business and what you want to do. And we want to take that and grow it substantially. And so I have questions for you as well. So it's like, what is it that you really want to do? Because we will help you get there with content and just getting word out for you.
So that's the question, right? Where do we want to go with this?
Exactly.
So we obviously, when we started it, we had the dream of, honestly, this sounds cliche, but just helping people. Mm-hmm. So when we started the company, what we did is we were working in the same construction site. We both have construction backgrounds, and me and Matt were talking. We're like, no diss on my former job, but wouldn't it be nice if we could create a company that treated their employees better than the way that we were being treated?
Right.
You know, it's not it's a systemic problem. It's not the company I used to work for. They're great, but like overall, the entire time I was working in construction, you know, you don't get a lot of benefits and you're 1099 and whatever. So it was just inspiring, I guess. And so when we started this, we wanted to be able to help people. And kind of what the vision has grown into is how far can we really take this thing? Because in a year and a half, we've grown. Mm-hmm. I mean, we did 3 deals last year, and now this year we've done 15 so far, and it's only beginning of September, and that's even without spending, well, you know, for that little bit during COVID.
Right.
Like, we cut off pretty much all marketing, turned the faucet right off. I mean, I feel, you know, we don't know how far we want to take it, but we know we have some plans as far as having some different divisions that do some different things and expanding outside of Georgia, right? Like, we've got Dallas, Texas now, and we're going to go beyond. But we're really just going to see how far this thing goes.
Well, you know, the word helping is the key. Because when you're out there chasing the money, it doesn't work with that. It's the passion of really doing something for somebody.
Yeah.
So you guys are doing it right then.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Very excited for you with this. Mm-hmm.
I don't think money is really either of our... It never has been. You know, as long as we don't have to, like... Obviously, everybody wants more money, but... If you listen to the guys at the top, they never say, "Oh, I did this. I started Tesla because I want to be rich." Elon Musk started Tesla because he wanted to change the world.
That's right.
Bill Gates started Microsoft because he wanted to change the world. Nobody does it. Nobody that's got substantial amounts of money did set out with the goal of making substantial amounts of money. You know what I mean? Or, you know, very few people.
Right. But you know, let me say this on that point. The way to really do it is to sharpen the pencil, because the money comes later.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're studying, you're making it grow just by experience and doing it and getting involved and learning every day. That just really works. So sharpen the pencil and just the money flows later.
And I've been very fortunate. The last 2 guests we've had on, so you know, that they said the exact same thing. And
it's true.
You know, everybody I talk to that's got success on the whole range in business period, that's what they always say. If you help people, everything flows. Success will come.
That's right. It's the passion from inside.
It's the passion from inside. That's right. So you get done with Harvard,
Mm-hmm.
and then what do you do?
I actually started buying real estate. I bought some restaurants and I grew business tremendously. I became very wealthy
In New York?
in New York, and then the bomb hit. So kind of changed my life. Lost a lot of money. Kind of starting over with a lot of different things, and just grew in my business, in the computer business.
What do you think
Afterwards.
Where were you vulnerable? So is there anything that somebody can take away from the lesson that you
Oh my
learned?
goodness, absolutely. You know, you always want more and more and more. You want to grow and grow and grow, but you got to do it in moderation and do it smart. So when in 2008, when the things changed with the interest rates and so on, and everything just got blown out, I owned over 50 houses. Yeah, and it was wonderful, like getting income from all these houses were wonderful. But I leveraged them. So when I did that, it was like boom, when the markets changed. So you start over and you build. This time I'm going to do it better and grow much bigger.
So I'm guessing you leveraged them near the top of the market.
That's right.
Okay.
2007. You don't do that.
And did
That's
you do
not-
like full 75% like on all of them?
Of course.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I wanted to buy more and more. I was buying tons of houses because it was working for me.
And nobody thought the market was going to collapse.
At
right?
all.
I mean, that was like out of nowhere. Yeah. I mean, think of, you ever seen The Big Short?
I did see that.
So like Michael Burry and all them guys, like they were like outcasts on Wall Street because they were going around doing all these shorts.
That's
and
right.
they ended up like making billions of dollars.
Josh, I was making so much money. I mean, it was like, for me, it was easy because it was just natural, just happening because I knew how to do it. And then when the market changed, it's like, wow, I got a big lesson. So,
What was the first investment property you bought? Do you remember?
I was right out of college, and I bought a condo up in Vermont.
Okay.
And I just, rebuilt the whole thing, got tenants. I learned, I got a lot of experience from that. So it was wonderful. And just, it worked. Then from that one, I grew more and more and more down in New York when I was down there.
Okay. Was that the only one you had up there, or was
Yeah, one in Vermont, and I had like 40 plus in New York. That's what I
Dang,
did.
that's great. In New York City or where in New York?
It was right in Long Island.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So there was. They got hit hard too, right? Like,
Yeah,
they got one of the
absolutely.
worst in New York State. Long Island.
Crushed.
Crushed. Dang. I mean, live and learn, right? I mean, like you said, it was for the. I mean, silver lining is, I guess, like it changed your life for the better.
It did. I'll tell you something. I've got kids. You just do the right thing for them, and you go in a different direction. It's not what you go through. It's how you get up. It's what's in your heart, and you learn from it and just grow and get better, and you pass that information on to someone else, and now you take it step by step and just do the right thing for your business and other people. So the thing is, I'm out there. What I'm doing now, which is what you're doing, I'm helping people. From what I've learned, I've got a lot of experience in business. So now, even more experience, which I can use for anybody.
Oh yeah, I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And we found that to be true, absolutely. Like with what you guys have done for us and the way you've helped us, and
It's the passion. It's about how we can do something for you and other people.
so
And we're good at it.
Thank you.
Amen.
Yeah. So when you're doing real estate, were you doing web developing at the same time? I can actually pull this a little bit closer to you.
Oh, this?
Yeah, pull it just a little bit, like.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. I know it's like uncomfortable.
No, it's okay. I actually learned computers and web design afterwards.
Okay.
So when I started doing that, it was like, see, I study every day. I take seminars more than anybody. I learn. I take classes and courses. I must have spent in the last couple of years easy 40, 50,000 just on learning. And so, but you know what? I love it. So I just take that and I just give it to my clients and just build other people with what I'm learning every day. Because Google has over 200 algorithms and I've got to stay on top. It's like the stock market. I got to stay on top of everything. And I take every website for a client and I bring them to the top for every keyword that's important for them. And the important thing is to crush the competitors of theirs, which is what we're going to do for you. Absolutely.
Thanks, Ed. I
sure.
appreciate that. So what did you do while you were investing in real estate in New York? Like, was investing all you were doing?
I was investing. I was consulting businesses.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had the restaurant and I had I actually even owned a deli as well.
How'd you get into restaurants? Like, what's the story with that?
Well, because my wife Spanish, and she just said, I love doing that. Let's just buy a restaurant, a Spanish restaurant. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I speak Spanish as well. So we did it. We got a great response, but it's a tough business. You know,
restaurant margins.
oh my goodness, it's thin, and you've got to be there 24/7, and that's what was happening. So I didn't want to do it. Sold it, got out.
So did you sell it before the market crash?
Yes, amen.
Okay, so
yeah, that was okay. It was good. Oh yeah,
that's a good thing.
I was lucky with that. Yeah.
So then after the restaurant, you just did the business consulting and real estate.
And then my mother moved down here like 24 years ago to Hilton Head.
Okay.
She came down by her boat, which was nice.
Oh,
and she goes, you know what? She looks around. She goes, I'm not leaving. It's beautiful here. So when things were tough for me, I came down and followed and said, you know what? This is beautiful here. I'm not going to leave myself. So I started building my website business there. That's what happened. And never left.
So you moved to Hilton Head. Mom's here. Your family all comes down here.
That's right.
And then, so what's that transition? What's the story between consulting, real estate, and then getting into web design? Like, why web design,
Well, you know, as I said, the web design was because the internet is so much fun in the sense of there's so much growth in there. You're building business, you're learning about marketing, you're learning about sales. There's every aspect of building a business. It's what I love. I love building businesses. So you can go into any area you want, any subject you want, and just take it from there and grow it. So it was tough for me in the beginning. I had a couple clients. I joined networks like a BNI. And when I got involved with all these different things, they started seeing, oh, this guy's a nice guy and he's smart. So my clientele started to grow and grow. So actually within 2 years, I went from like 30,000 to 300,000. So just by developing a network and learning my stuff, that's why I'm saying the money flows afterwards. It's what's inside, but as it grows, man, it's hard. It's a hard road, but you get out there and network and it works.
Was there like a specific moment that so I should ask you this then too. When you were still in New York, were you utilizing the internet a lot up there? Like, did you recognize the power of the internet fairly early?
Yes.
Okay, so like what kind of things were you doing?
There's something called affiliate marketing where you can actually go to any company, and if you put up your own website and sell their stuff with a link, it means you get a commission on that. So you can virtually do it with anybody, anywhere. And so I started doing that and it was working. So I was selling different kinds of products and getting paid commissions for any company. So I learned how to do it just by growing and learning how to do it. It worked.
I got it. So you're just totally self-taught?
Totally. I took classes. I took classes online, but all my computer knowledge is self-taught. And I can honestly tell you that the reason I got so good is because I learned how to do research from the schooling that I went through. And I just kept at it and didn't stop, kept going and going, and it worked.
When you moved down here, so what year did you move here? Like what?
I think it was around 2013.
Okay. So how long did it take, I guess, before then? So what were you doing for the 5 years between like the collapse and 2013? Just like trying to like mitigate losses or?
That's exactly. You know what? It wasn't like all at once, but it's kind of like winding down. Winding down, and then as I'm doing that, I'm working in the computers and just making some money with that and getting through with it.
Okay.
So
you moved here, you started events.
That's right.
And then the rest is
so it was like from hero to almost like zero, and sort of mitigating losses as I'm doing and trying to keep afloat as I was doing that, and it worked.
Did you feel like? Was there any like? This is gonna be kind of a personal question.
No, it's fine.
Was there like any kind of like depression or like Like how did you overcome that? Because I feel like I think it'd be hard to go from here to zero.
Oh, you know what?
I'm sure it's gonna happen. Right, happens to everybody on their journey up. But
well, some guys they do it a couple times. Here to zero. But you know what? From having everything to almost nothing at one point is a scary thing. But you have faith and you find a passion and keep. I knew I'd always get back on my feet just because I know myself and I know I don't stop, and you just keep going and there's no choice, especially if you've got kids,
Yeah.
So I just went through it. It was a tough time. Was I depressed? Of course, but you don't ever give up. It's what I tell my kids: never give up, because that's how you become better.
So you never doubted yourself. I feel like that's like an important distinction.
It's there are times, of course, you do, but there's no choice. You're either going to do it or not. You can say, oh, poor me. I'm sorry for myself. I'm not going to take that boat. So my theory is you go into something and you burn the boat. In other words, you just go into it and it's life or death. You go and you just rock it. You just do whatever you can to become better and better and better. And you do that, and you in that sense, you also go out and help other people.
Is the burn the boat from the Cortez story?
Probably.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I quote that all the time. I love that.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's always like, "What are you talking about? Burn the boats?" And then, so like for people that don't know, legend has it, right? Who knows this history? But Cortez shows up on the banks of Mexico, and he's only got 300 guys. And the Spanish king has told them that they have to conquer the entire country of Mexico. And they start looking around. They say, "There's way too many people here. There's no way we're going to be able to do this." So Cortez takes a rowboat and rows out to his boats and sets them on fire and says, "Now you have no choice." And then they conquered all of Mexico.
I cannot believe that you know that, because not many people do, and that's where it's from.
Yeah, I think it's a great analogy, right? Burn the boats. Like, what gets any more real than 300 guys conquering all of Mexico?
And you know what? When I've said that before to other people, they're like, "Huh? I don't get that." It means you go in and you have no choice. There's no going back. You go in and you do it. It's the first choice. Is there a second alternative? There could be, but you focus everything on winning and succeeding.
I actually just heard Barbara Cochran on Shark Tank last night. She was talking about this lady was in there. Great product, great pitch, I thought. But she started asking her some questions. She says, "I can't invest in your company. And the reason why is because you have a backup plan." Her dad had a bunch of money or something. She said, "I can't invest in the most successful people in this world are the people that leave themselves no choice but to succeed. Sink or swim."
That's what it is. So you know what, Josh, in this respect, with what I'm doing, it's become the best. My goal is right now we're growing internationally. So I train. It's funny you said before about being an employee. I train and give such love to people that work for me that I want them to be better than anyone. I give them training. It's on me. I want them to be better and better and support them both financially and emotionally and in their business, in their job. So if I give that attention to every single person, I've got 15 people with me now, maybe almost 20. So every person knows that the source is coming from the top. They're going to become better. They've got the security of knowing they have direction. I give that to them. The whole boat rises. So everybody has a plan. Everybody knows what to do. I give that to them, and the company goes forward.
When you first started in 2013, how long did it take to get your first person?
Oh, I was networking maybe a couple months.
Okay, a couple months.
Uh-huh.
How, and it was it just you in the beginning? Because I guess I don't understand.
Just me.
Okay.
Yes.
And then so you get your first, that's the first hire or the first client after a couple months?
That was the first client.
Okay, first client. How long did it take you before you started hiring people?
I would say maybe a year or so.
Okay.
And what I did is I'm using a lot. People don't agree with it, but I find it fantastic. I use a lot of people that are overseas.
Okay.
And I train them, and I'm finding people like in the Philippines. I've got people in the Philippines, in India, in Africa, and South America, and everybody loves what they do. You know, we find people that have passion, and we just hire them to do their specific job. You know, so it's like they don't know the whole business. They know exactly what they need to do. So together, I have team meetings together. We just grow and work together to make this whole boat go forward. It's like a car engine. Every piece is important and works together to make that thing just rock and run forward.
How do you keep, like, what's the logistics like on something like that? So because you have people all over the world, right? So different time zones, and then obviously, like, how are you guys communicating? Like, how are you managing all that?
Good question. With SOPs, SOPs,
Yep.
Standard Operating Procedures, that and personal training, and we Zoom all the time. We have actually, I've got I've got writers, I've got people just in development. So we have different like team meetings, but then we've got whole company meetings that we all put our things together. And I've got like team leaders. It's like thought out, it's very detailed. So everyone has their task with management, following everybody. And you guys should do the same thing at some point. So everybody's got the specific task, and I'm the one that puts it all together. I'm in charge of everything, obviously. And by me showing them that there's leadership and there's direction, and helping them through every kind of conflict or whatever the issue is, things always arise. They know they've got support and they work together. And that's what I do. So between Zoom and them speaking together, always with specific meetings, it all works together. And you know, I'm sorry. And I also do say when there are mistakes, you know, it's not, I expect it from them. And I tell everybody, I said, you know what, I don't care if they're mistakes. All I need to know is that you put 100% in, that you tried your hardest. If that's what you're doing, I can't have anything to say wrong for you. That's where I am with that. And it works.
When you first hired somebody from out of the country, how did you find that first person? Like, what's the story with, how did you get into, international VAs and
sure.
All that?
First of all, people don't know what the word VA is.
It's a big thing in real estate.
I'm so glad that,
so,
is it? That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So a virtual assistant, there is something called online.ph. It's Filipinos Online.
Okay.
And I bought this program. And so for $1,000 or something like that, you're able to have access to all these people, and you just put in like a job description. It's almost like a Fiverr.
Okay.
And so people just are emailing you and just talking to you and say, please hire me. And so you go through this whole vetting process. And so you find people that are good. And I'll tell you, my people are good. And I call them the dream team. And I don't have anything. And I've fired people. You know, you've got to have people that they've got to have the passion and that they want to grow and work with you. And that's what I have. I've got people that just love it and want to grow and just do it.
Do you have any horror stories from like having to fire people, or was it pretty, like, did you recognize early? Did you almost know right away, or did it take time?
You know, it took time. And the reason was because, you know, our things are so important. If you put a wrong keyword out for someone and it goes throughout the internet, it's a tough thing. For example, last couple weeks ago, I had someone put in a wrong word for a client, and the client saying like a wrong picture or a keyword that was wrong for them in social media. That was like, really? You didn't just do that? And the client saying, what are you doing? It's like, because what happens is if it goes viral, then there's an issue. So everything has to be done so right, so well, it's got to be monitored. And so I had a woman who was continually saying, I'm sorry, Ed, I'll do it better, but didn't have the passion and the focus to do it right. So after a while, I say, you know what? Okay, I've given you all these chances. It's not right. I've got to let you go. I'm sorry. It's tough.
Firing people would be really tough. Yeah.
You know, sometimes you've got to do it. I mean, there is an element of being strict. You have to be to make sure they're doing the job right. Because, you know, who gets hurt? Ultimately, you get hurt, your client gets hurt. It's about taking care of the client and helping your client. If they're not getting the right information, there's an issue.
Yeah.
So it's what that's about.
Right? Like, and you can cause real damage, like you said. I mean, how many people are online now?
Exactly. And that's right. And what happens is the internet, it stays out there. I mean, there are ways to have things not what's called indexed, where once it falls off, it's okay, and you can push things down, like what we do with reputation management. But man, when it's out there, it's out there. So you've got to be really careful.
It's funny. I think it was even before the internet really took off. Warren Buffett had a quote of, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and an instant to destroy it.
It's the truth.
And look at how much louder that is with the internet, right? Like everything you do is exponentially bigger than it would have
Absolutely.
been. You know, in the 90s, I think is when he said that. I think that's when he's quoted as saying that.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy. And for you guys to manage that and then also manage teams all over the world to do that, I think that's pretty...
Oh, it's a task, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know what? Again, back to having the passion. If you love what you do, I'm so lucky and blessed because I love what I do. And I can help anybody grow in their business and make it better for them. Because what happens is when their webpage, you know, increases up in top positions in Google, and we know that thing's going to convert, and they're getting phone calls like, wow, this is the best because I've helped this client. They're getting phone calls. It's changing their business. It works. You got to stick to it. It does take time sometimes. But man, when it just kicks in, I've had clients say, Ed, you know what? I'm getting 30 phone calls a day. You got to stop this. It's too much for us. That's like, bam, I did it. You know, it's like, really? That's what I do. The more business, the better for you.
Yeah, seriously. I can't imagine like complaining about too many phone calls, but you know, I guess everybody has a different growth goal, right? Plus, I mean, like,
That's right.
Have you ever heard of, like, Patagonia?
Oh, sure.
I can't remember their CEO's name. It's Vaughn. Either way, he says that they actually purposefully try to keep growth down. Like, because their philosophy is a little bit different. So their whole goal is like in 100 years, like they still want to, they make every decision like in 100 years, will that make us still be here? So their whole thing was like, because they've never taken out debt, they're not publicly traded.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I can understand. I guess there are situations where maybe tampering growth is not necessarily a bad thing to do, right?
Right.
Like
Well, that's true. You can't grow too fast.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you don't want to grow too fast.
Exactly. And the nice thing is, if you're getting a lot of phone calls, you can pick and choose who you want to work with. If
That's
you get to
true,
that point, it's like, okay, I've done it. That's where you are, where you've got control.
That's true. I guess I never. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
a good point.
Absolutely.
Have you always been interested in the internet then? Like, if it was internet your passion from the minute you saw it?
When I first got online, I'm saying, you know what, this is interesting because it looks like you can make some good money with this. It looks like there's a lot of growth. And once I started doing it, it's like, whoa. And I just couldn't stop learning. You know, even in my off hours, it's like, what am I missing? What could I be learning now to get better? It's what I do.
You're obsessed.
It's the word. That's the right word. But I think it's a good obsession.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that it gets a bad, if you abuse obsession, it's not good.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think with business, it's
Mm-hmm.
well, that's what makes people great at their craft, right? Is when they're obsessed. And I'm sure it makes it feel for you like you're not working, right? You love what you do.
That's right.
Yeah, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
It's like, and you're doing the same thing because I see what you're doing. It's sculpting what you're doing and making it better and better and better always. Because you know what? It's a war out there. And if you're not, your competitor's going to be doing that.
I love business for that. I love
Exactly.
organized sports too, right? Like
That's right.
I think, and I find like a lot of guys that are successful, they come from organized sports backgrounds, right? Like, well, I should say the guys that have organized sports backgrounds are oftentimes successful in business. I think that's why that correlation of like, you are in the trenches, like, you really got to get better at what you do, or else
That's right.
you're gonna be gone.
That's right. And especially now, everyone's getting called from these SEOs, and a lot of these SEOs, they say they do it, they don't do it. It's like, okay, we do it, we study it, we eat it, we learn it, we live it. No, but that's what we do, is we love, and it works for people.
So, do you guys do a lot of business here in Savannah, or is most of your over in Hilton Head?
We're up in Hilton Head, but I love it here. My daughter goes to SCAD, so I'm looking to come down here and grow. I've been here. I've got some clients here. I want to grow here, and I want you guys to help me do it and find some good people.
Is that your long-term strategy?
Yes.
Okay.
We're actually opening an office in Orlando, Florida now as
Okay.
well. We've got an office in Quito, Ecuador. I mean, we're growing. We're just expanding, but it's controlled and it's just wonderful.
How did you? I was gonna actually. Speaking of Ecuador, so for everybody that doesn't know, and Nicholas works out of Ecuador. That's who manages that.
That's my partner.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's your partner. So
Yeah.
how did you and Nicholas meet?
We actually met from a course. We were taking an online course, and believe it or not, some of these courses are super expensive, but it's worth it. So this was obviously super worth it for me because I met Nicholas. So I was taking this class online. It's like over $3,000. People go, really? But man, some of the information that you get, I can just use and help other people with. And so I met Nicholas on this. And we just clicked.
And the rest is history.
History.
How long ago was that?
It's been 2 years now with him.
Okay, 2 years. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So actually, when we met you guys, it wasn't that long after. Well, it'd have been a little,
Yeah, it was probably
pretty
about
good.
maybe a year and a half. So maybe he's been with me maybe 3 years. We've been together some time now, and we've come a long way together. He's really good at technical stuff. I'm good at the marketing. So together, it's like, whoa.
He was telling me about the spending the weekend in the volcano. I was like, oh my god, it sounds so nice in Ecuador.
It is. It's pretty. It's inexpensive. It's beautiful. The food's amazing. So really enjoy it. Want you guys to come down.
Yeah, we have to come. How
You
many
will
times have you
come
been
down.
down there?
Like 5.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
So you go down there pretty regularly.
Yeah, but you know what? I speak the language,
So that makes it.
so I can go anywhere. It's just wonderful. Absolutely.
So before the podcast, we were talking a little bit. I found out something new.
Mm-hmm.
You had brain cancer.
Yeah.
So,
Well.
tumor.
Yeah.
So
I was lucky enough to have it as what's called a grade 1. So yeah, I really didn't think I'd be here. So I accepted my own death. And because that's what they were saying to me. The doctor said to me, "You're probably not going to make it. We definitely think that you're not going to be able to speak. You probably won't be able to hold a job." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to beat these guys. So and you know what I did? Because I can honestly say, because I actually couldn't speak for like 5 years. I had to relearn how to talk again.
Holy cow.
As horrible as it was. So that actually proved something, because I learned a lot from that. Proved something to myself that, you know what, people can overcome anything they put their mind to it.
How old were you when that happened? How long ago was that?
I was 38.
So that was 2000.
Yeah, 2000. Well, I'm older now.
Yeah, I know. When was that?
That was 1995 for me.
Oh, that was 95. What?
Yeah,
no way.
I'm 62. Turning
No
60.
way, you're
yes.
not. I thought you were in your 40s,
Good.
man.
Really? Thank you.
You look great.
See, that's why I'm saying I've got a lot of experience with business and life. Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. You look great, man.
Thank
What's
you,
the
man.
secret?
The secret is being athletic when you're younger, not taking drugs, not really drinking, not abusing your body, and just doing the right thing. And and loving what you do. So that's where isn't that something? Turning 62. So yeah, I was 38. So this is years ago. I overcame it, and I just kept going. So I would say that I'm about maybe 98%. There are certain times where if I get a little anxious, I find that I may have like a stammer or a slight stutter.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Well, I never even noticed. So,
Amen for that.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
So I'll tell you that, with that, every day is really a blessing. And I remember lying there on the bed thinking that, you know what, the only thing that's really important, again, is your family, your true friends, and God. That's it. Nothing else is really important. Live the life the best you can, and love other people and help them. And that's what I try to do.
That's profound. I feel like, so, how does that change the way you live? Like, was there a dramatic, right, having that thinking? Obviously, I know for 5 years and you couldn't talk, so I'm sure that changed. But I mean, besides that, in a more deep sense of it, like having that experience, how did that change you going forward?
Well, you would think that it would change me completely. So as time goes on, more and more, I still get nervous, like during the days or something, and I get intense. So I should say, things just don't matter the way they probably should, if that makes sense.
I got you, yeah.
So it's faith and just going forward and just not stopping and just doing the right thing. Because we're all going to go, but you do the right thing for yourself, your clients, and especially your kids and your family. That's what I believe. That's what I've learned the most. Just by not giving up, there's big lessons in that.
I
kind of stunned you. I'm sorry.
I'm stunned. No, that's okay. That's totally, the fact that you're 62, really, whatever. I don't want to
really
feel anybody's
okay.
I'm shocked. I mean, I wish everybody could see you. You guys, if you get a chance, go on Facebook, look up Ed Gelb, Gelb. Tell me this man does not look like he's in his 40s.
I appreciate that. That's nice.
You look great, man.
Thank
Seriously.
you so much.
So we'll get past that now. Okay. So you said going forward, your guys' plan is to expand internationally. So you have Ecuador going on, you have Orlando going on.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to make a push west, or like do you have anything beyond that? What's your 5 years?
Yeah, we're looking to grow nationally. Let me just first say this: we really are looking to help our clients. The growth will come. It's just doing the right thing because it's referrals. It's growing well and just doing the right thing. We love to grow and go across, nationally and do things internationally. We do things in Spanish, and we've got accounts down in Quito, Ecuador, and we're even getting an account in Chile, so in Argentina. So it's growing. It's wonderful. We can build websites in Spanish. We build websites everywhere. It's wonderful.
Is there a huge market in South America for?
Let me say it's different. Are people growing? Yes.
So what are some of the hurdles that you had to overcome to kind of start, get that going over there? Like what's some of the biggest differences?
Well, people think differently, and the money's different, and since cultures are different, it's, trust is everything. And so when they see an American company come down, they like it, but they're saying, okay, will this guy take care of me? I'm just a local guy here. I don't know if I trust this big American company because they don't really know who we are. They think, it's a big American company. So it's a trust concern for them.
Has it been, I'm sure it's been helpful then to have somebody, Nicholas, who's from there, mm-hmm. kind of being the face of the organization for, right? I mean, has that kind of helped overcome some of that?
Completely, absolutely. And that's really what is really doing it. So by having someone local that speaks without an accent, in their language, It's like, okay, it's another guy here that's just like us. That's what gets us the business. And it's just interesting.
Are you guys going to expand your services with that? So we should actually back up. So what do you do right now? Like what kind of what services do you guys offer?
Do we offer here or everywhere? We offer, I've got a whole list. Let me take a look. So I thought I was prepared. Let me see here. So we do actually branding services, search engine optimization, which is SEO, online advertisement, website development, email marketing, media services, which means we do video and podcasting, which is so cool, like you're doing, and social media. So that we take everywhere and we do it well. We've got an expert in that's just helping us with everything. And we're taking that internationally and nationally.
And then as you expand, do you plan on rolling out more services, or like do you have any more, besides just like spreading locations, like are you guys going to expand what you do, or what is your plan there?
The main thing, honestly, is we want to expand by consulting. If we can speak about it to other businesses first, that's really helping them, and then we can implement the services. So we're going to pretty much stay with what we're doing with these services now, but grow it in the consulting capacity.
And what do you mean by that, consulting? So consulting for businesses or consulting for internet businesses specifically?
No, consulting for any business, in terms of growing their business on the internet, by doing their websites, by doing their social media, and so on and so on and so forth.
Okay, so basically what you do for us is
That's
for
right.
everybody.
That's right.
Okay. And are you...
You got it.
I got it. You know what's funny is every single time that I do these interviews, halfway through, I have to cut this little section out because like I get to this point in the conversation where I don't know why, but it's like I hit like a wall. You know what I mean?
I've got answers for that.
What's the answer?
The answer is, when I go back, I'm going to put this whole thing together of how to prepare for everything and have a whole list of things, and then you cut it out, whatever you don't need.
I normally, some people have been giving me the advice I should have like a list. Like they can't believe like when they come in, like I don't have a list at all. I mean, we make them like an hour long, right? And I don't have like any kind of. I just want but I've always wanted the conversation to be authentic, right? I don't want to like.
No, I agree with that, but you can also have the authenticity by preparing it and having some basic ideas, and then you give that list to them, and so when they have that list as well, they can think of things and ask you questions. So it's almost engagement as well, just like social media, where it's back and forth. It doesn't have to be just about them. It's together how you can grow as well with them.
Yeah, you might be right. Maybe that's what I should. That might be the next evolution in the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? There are courses on it. There are courses on it, and there are courses on it. There are ideas of how to make this thing even better, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of things that's going to rock this thing with you.
Do you guys do a podcast currently?
We're developing it now.
Okay, yeah. What are you guys going to do about?
How to take, just what we're talking about, how to take businesses from mediocrity to hero. And how to create engagement and bring them to the top of Google and just make them the authority. How to make them the best they can be and just bring in tons of business for them.
I'm super pumped. I didn't know you guys are going to do a podcast. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
When's your plans for that? What's your plans for rollout?
We're rolling it out probably within a month.
Okay, within a month.
Mm-hmm. And so when I saw that you came up with a podcast, I was like, man, these guys rock. I was like, wow. I said, Nicholas, do you see what these guys are doing? They are so on it. I just have that's what I'm saying. I have every faith in you guys, because you're jumping in the gun before we're saying, come do this and this and this. Because when you have this thing down pat and you have it out on iTunes and everywhere, and having it just, because this brings tons of traffic. People are going to really recognize who you are. They're going to recognize your voice. You do this with video as well. Boom. Video shows, podcast shows, you're going to rock.
Thank you.
It's exciting, man.
Thanks, Ed. So actually, I did have a couple other questions, so I don't want to give away too many secrets, but I did see some stuff. So recently, this guy I know on Facebook posted an article, Business Insider. He's like, so blessed to have been featured in Business Insider. I click on the link, I start going through it, and I realize this is not from Business Insider. This guy paid for this article to be on here. What do you think of those articles? Do you think that helps your credibility or hurts your credibility?
Well, remember you just said you didn't know?
And if I hadn't dug deeper, I might have never realized.
Well, let me tell you, The fact that you did it is smart of you, but everyone's pretty much superficial. They will only see that name. They go, wow, you know what, this guy's doing it. But all these guys that you see, you know, they've got all these labels on their website, Forbes, what they've done is they've paid for that. You're like, really? So you can go out and you can go to Forbes and say, listen, if I give you, I'll give you $1,000 and you take my article and you publish it and I have a big link back to me. And I can go out and say, I'm on Forbes. And people believe that. And they do that every day. And so it's not just Business Insider. It's all these magazines. They all do it for the money.
And so how do you go about that? So like if somebody, let's say, is hearing this podcast, they want to go about doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Do they go to you guys? Do they go directly? Obviously, I know you're going to say you, but like, how do they do that?
There's also something called Haro, Haro, where you can get all these journalists just by getting on their list and so on. But you can also contact them and contact the companies direct. There are ways to do that. So you can do that way. They're open to that.
Crazy.
Oh, that's
there's
great.
a whole market for that. When I started reading, I was like, wow, this is pretty. You know, I think there, you know, obviously his internet people must have been doing it because there was like keywords like every like fifth or sixth sentence. It was like,
that's right.
It almost didn't make sense, but it was like vague. You know what I mean? It was like vaguely relevant to him, but it was more talking about his company, like what's his name buys houses. It'll just be like be a sentence like 3 sentences down, like what's his name buys houses.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was pretty genius. I'm sure that they're making a killing off that too.
Absolutely. You know, and let me tell you something else. A really good nugget. When you do really good press releases with different kinds of platforms, and which is what we also do, your press release will go out to news stations across the country, across the world. And so I did one a couple months ago for my real estate client in Hilton Head. He goes, Ed, how did you get my name on Hawaii 5? He goes, my name was there. I go, it's because we did a great press release. But people don't know it. So when you're doing that, you're getting your name out. And then you have in the press release that links back correctly to your website and your Google platforms. Boom.
How does that work? How does the press release work? Like, what do you
it's a newswire. It goes out everywhere. On their newswire. It goes out to everywhere. I mean, when I do one, I think we've done a couple for you already. It hits over 300 news stations across the country. Absolutely. And what does that do? That gives you real authority. It tells Google you're a real business. It's just awesome. And it all links back to your platforms. And so by getting these links back to your platform, it creates this domain authority of who you are. That's how you beat your competition. People don't know this. And there are all these ninja strategies that I'm going to be doing for you and my clients that just work like this.
I think that a lot of people still don't recognize either how important online is. It's weird to me when you're going through business how many people still aren't taking it as serious as I think they should.
Everybody should take it seriously. They don't. I'd say a lot of the older crowd, guys that are more my age, they don't get it. They still do things traditionally. But the younger crowd, I'm finding like you guys in your age range, 20 to 45, even to 50 now, are starting to get it. Online is everything in terms of marketing. You do it right, you'll be everywhere. And that's how people are getting famous and getting more and more business.
Another thing I wanted to ask you is, so I've been doing a little bit of research on the algorithms for Google.
Right.
And I think it's pretty fascinating. I don't think people realize how fluid that is and how often Google is changing and making it harder and doing. So like in yours, over the course of the last 7 years, how do you overcome that?
Well, I'll tell you something. Years ago, people would take just keywords and they would take the keyword, put it in white and put it on a white background, just fill their pages with tons of keywords with people not even being able to see it, but they know that Google would read it. All the code, it's all in coding. Because Google doesn't read the pages, they read the coding inside of it. And so there are all these what's called black hat tricks. And so Google's getting so smart now, they're just kicking these people out. So by doing it right, it's called white hat, internet with white hat. It's just, that's the only way to go.
How do you guys stay on top of that? Because I mean, that even with the white hat, like certain aspects of that must be changing all the time, right? I mean,
always. We actually, it's going to sound like over the top. We actually have someone who's a professor in a university that studies mathematics and follows the algorithms when they come out from Google. We get it from the beginning. So we go that deep, but following algorithms is a huge thing. And they're out there, you've got to do it right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Does Google make their algorithms public?
They patent them. So when they're patented, of course, when they patent them, they come out and they're public. So yes.
Dang, so you'd really have to be paying attention to the patent office.
Oh my, absolutely. And not only that, and I'll tell you, the way that we really understand Google is by testing Google. Because a lot of people say, well, how does that work? If you put something out there and test it, that's the way you become an expert. If you put something out there and test it by doing what's called A/B testing, you try one thing, then you try another, see what happens, what comes back to you. Then you're an expert because you see what's working, what's not working. And the algorithms work that way because Google doesn't give you everything.
That's kind of interesting because, I guess they're, everything's cutting edge with that, right? So you really don't have a blueprint to go by because if they're changing the algorithms all the time, like you have to just constantly
daily.
Yeah.
They're brilliant and they know. And they don't want to be manipulated, but they do because by us SEO guys going and manipulating all these algorithms, they're making money because we're getting people in there that want to be on there. They're making money. It's all about the money. Google's making, I think, like thousands of dollars per second.
Did you say they just had an antitrust?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's been filed yet, but it's about to be filed. I can't remember.
In fact, Apple dropped, I think, yesterday.
All tech stocks have taken a huge
hit. Yeah, because of that. They think it's a monopoly. They're saying, these guys are ruling everything.
It's an interesting thing because I think the internet creates natural monopolies.
It does, to those who know how to do it.
Yeah, but like Amazon, right? There really isn't a point in having 10 Amazons. Like, you can create all the competition you want, but like Amazon literally sells it for as cheap as possible. I don't know, I don't think there's really a way that you could overcome that. I think the internet in itself inherently creates these huge players, right? Because who wants 10, Google's great, it's one app, and your username, your profile goes over all these different things. Who would want to break that up into like 7 different logins and...
It's about the money. They're going to want to break it up.
Yeah, you think they're going to?
And they're going to.
You think they're going to?
Yeah, at some point. Listen, at some point, you can't own everything, and Google is like the gorilla. They're getting 95% of the traffic. About some of that now, where it's like, it's all, the word Google is now a word. I'm going to go Google it. So they own everything, and so no one wants that. If they can break it up in some way and own it, it's about the money. They're going to do it.
Have you ever seen that meme about Yahoo? It says, if you ever feel like you're useless, check out the top 10 things search on Yahoo. And number 1's like Google, number 2's YouTube. Right. Actually, like 5 of the top 10 was like Google-related services. It's crazy.
Imagine that, huh?
Yeah, I actually read this article one time about, it's like in the middle of the night, so I don't think like a lot of people knew, but Google went down, I think it was like 2 years ago, just for like 30 minutes or something. And in that 30 minutes, it took down almost 50% of websites.
I remember that.
Yeah, not in total, but like functionality on all these websites because of how many websites rely on Google in some capacity for their content and for everything.
And it goes further than that. Everyone's relying on it. Google's creating economies everywhere. It's around the world. It's just that's what they want. It's a scary thing in a way.
How do you break that up? Do you think?
Oh, I wouldn't even fathom to guess.
Does with the algorithms from Google, does Facebook and Twitter and all these social sites, do they do the same thing?
They do the same thing. They're copying Google in a lot of ways, or they're doing their own. But I'll tell you, it's big market, and if they can get their hands on it and do it right, that's why they're growing so well. Everyone's following it, and that's why they have to have all these antitrust laws.
That's crazy. So another thing that I wanted to ask you is how has Covet affected your business?
It's actually helped our business.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because since I stay inside, I call it my cave. I'm in there anyway all day. So if I don't really go out, just by in a sense of saving time by sitting on Zoom, I can speak to all these businesses and they're starting to have to do it. So I'm inside just doing what I was doing always. And people need it. So it hasn't really affected me that much. It's actually helped me grow.
So more people have you seen more people turn to the internet then since COVID? I mean, I know with Zoom and everything, like a lot of people are working from home, but you guys aren't doing the infrastructure for that at all, right?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of growth in the e-commerce area with that.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, people aren't going out, they're buying online much more. Even through the supermarket, they're buying online.
Did you see Amazon sales last quarter? crazy.
Exactly.
Ridiculous. It went up like 30% or something.
That's right.
Crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
In one quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts. Who do you listen to? Like, is there any what books you're reading or who you listen to right now? Where you getting like information from?
I subscribe to tons of social media places. I'm reading books every day. I get them off Amazon. It's about building businesses. There's so much material out there. I couldn't say just one source.
Is there anything that's standing out in your mind right now that you're reading?
I read something from a place called Digital Marketer. It's all about how to grow agencies and helping your clients. It's just huge.
Is it like a daily publication? Or like, what is that?
It's almost like an agency that helps agencies.
Okay.
And they put out a lot of content. And I also, honestly, I belong to mentor groups that are guys from around the world. And we meet every week. And so just by speaking with them, I'm getting tons of information, tons of sources of things to do.
And are the mentor groups mostly internet guys or like?
All internet guys.
Okay, all internet guys.
It's all guys that are in their head, just like me. But some of these guys are like Google guys, and they are so brilliant. It's like, really? I'm like, what? I don't understand what you're saying. When they almost talk in code, it's like, whoa. So they're so smart, but they lead you to places to make you think. You want to be the guys that are smarter than you always.
Yeah.
And they make you think and get better and better. So that's really my source. These guys, just groups of people that know their stuff.
I love the quote, if you're the smartest guy in the room, it's probably time to find a new room.
I want to be the dumbest guy in the room.
Yeah.
These guys, exactly.
That's awesome. How did you find those groups?
Just by being online, and actually some of them found me. And just by being involved and say, you know what, do you want to join this? Even like, you'll find a lot of these things even on Facebook. By some of these groups, like you join one group, you like one, you find another that's even better. It's just being out there experience in the trenches.
What's the most? I know you had given me a couple books, but what books for people that are listening? What books do you recommend the most for like people that are getting started in business? Period.
You're gonna laugh, but I love Tony Robbins.
Really?
You know what? Some people go, it's all fluff, but there's so many things that are so good about what he says.
Yeah.
It's so uplifting, and people don't, they read it, but they don't do anything with it. A lot of these books that personal self-help are so good because it really makes you think, and when you implement it, you work it. It makes you better.
So any Tony Robbins book?
Tony Robbins books, I like things like, Stephen Covey, all the things that just make you better. Even the old books like Think and Grow Rich, I've gone through all these things, and I study and study and study them.
I loved the Zig Ziglar one that you had. I saw my Audible. I always forget the name of it.
Absolutely.
It was really interesting.
Yeah.
His sales stuff is timeless. It's crazy. And I didn't realize the humble beginning, how when he first got into sales, he was terrible, and then got better because of implementing strategies that he learned, and then putting that in a book. I thought it was.
And that's the same thing for everyone. Listen, Dell started in a college room. Amazon started in a garage. All these things, you have a humble beginning, and you just keep working what you do. You read and learn and grow and talk to people, get in trenches. It works. It works. You just don't stop.
So that would be the advice you have for anybody that's going to start?
Absolutely.
Get after it.
Sharpen the pencil and worry about the money coming later. Just get better.
So that's because I don't know have you listened to the past ones?
Mm-hmm.
So
the lawyer was really good.
Billy?
Yeah, he was really good.
I like Billy a lot. He's a really good friend of mine, and I got to cut a bunch out of his because we instantly left the office phone in here because normally Matt carries around, so it was just ringing. I felt, and then I had middle, my middle hang up like I always have in the middle of these. But anyway,
that's normal, man.
Yeah, that's normal probably. It feels like Joe Rogan go for 3.5 hours and on live television or on live YouTube. How? I mean, comparison's a thief of joy. I get it,
but let me tell you,
practice. I'm only on my fourth one, maybe.
It's practice, and the guy's been doing it for years.
10 years.
Exactly. So you know what? Let me tell you, there's so much of that scripted you don't realize it. The guys that he's got in the corner there, they're all prompting. Believe me.
You think so?
I know so.
On Joe Rogan? Isn't the whole sales pitch is that it's authentic?
It is, but you get a little help for your friends. But let me tell you, when you and I are sitting and working intensively, it's like, okay, after about an hour, it's like, okay, man, I gotta just take a break. You gotta kind of stop and kind of regroup. It's a normal thing. You're doing fucking great. You gotta cut this stuff out.
I was just like, beep. I mean, it's fine. Do you care about swearing? Does it? I don't care.
Doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother me either.
Okay.
Fuck it. No.
Okay. There you go.
I'm just kidding. I should be careful what I say. So, what's crazy is that I think that podcasting. I think the whole podcasting landscape is going to change now that Joe Rogan got that money, $100 million. That's crazy.
I know.
How many other platforms are going to start paying? Like, where do you think that if $100 million from Spotify, how much is iHeartRadio willing to pay? Or, because I think that there is, I get that we've been sold by some radio, and I'm not against radio at all, but just based on the future, the way everything else has moved, the way TV's moved, I just think it's a matter of time before radio does that same transition where everything is just streaming from your phone, right? I don't think that the radio in the car is going to
fully agree with you. Fully agree with you.
And as that happens, right, we're already seeing a $100 million contract on 3 years, supposedly. How much bigger are those going to be? Excuse me.
Do you know that's when I saw you put this thing out? Literally, I was like blown away. I was like, these guys are on it. Do you know what kind of traffic you can get from this? I mean, do you have any idea?
No, I have no idea. We just started.
Why? I want to know why you did this.
I did this, and I did the vlog because I think that there's a really interesting thing going on in Savannah investment period right now, or the real estate world, I guess I should say, which is that you have this historically old city that went on a rise, a boom, and then dropped off, and now it's on its second coming, and I'm not sure that it's going to stop this time. And I just thought it would be really important to, as cheesy as cliche as it sounds, to document that in real time as it happens. Because I think that in 100 years or even 50 years, I think Savannah is going to be unrecognizable. Maybe besides just like downtown historic district, because I think they're going to try to keep that historic,
right.
And maybe not the islands either, right? Like Tyvee's going to end up being stuck in time, whatever. But like I think as you get to the south side and all that, I think all that's going to be changed. I think most of Savannah's going to be changed. You're not going to recognize those west side neighborhoods that are like...
Agreed.
Yeah, bad right now. And I think... I think you're going to see growth also, though, in Beaufort, Hilton Head.
It's just... the change is ridiculous now.
And I think Brunswick, too. Right? Like, all that's going to start to fill in. Jacksonville to Charleston.
It's already started, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think there's... and I don't know if you watched the vlog at all, but I had Curtis belling out from Bell Home. Shout out to Curtis. Mm-hmm. He was talking about how... in his eyes, kind of what's happened is all these people from the north were going to move here eventually anyway. And with COVID happening... all that's done is bring the future to right now. And that's really resonated with me. I've thought about that a lot, and I think he's absolutely right. Like, home prices are through the roof. Like, every inspector you talk to, every real estate agent you talk to, people are crazy busy. Money pouring in from New York, pouring in from California. It's if you want to get started in real estate, now's the time, and this is the city. And I think that is cool that we get to be here for this.
Very true.
And I'm sure I'll start having guests from outside of Savannah eventually, right? But right now, that's kind of where I'm at with the podcast anyway. Mm-hmm. Probably the vlog will try to stay mostly local. We might start doing some stuff like when I go to Dallas or whatever. And I was even thinking about doing like a second episode every week. So I guess now I said it on the podcast. Now I guess it's official.
But you have to be. What's the word? Consecutive. We gotta just. I'm looking for the word consistent. Consistent. Thank you. Wow.
That's okay.
If you say you're going to do it, you get a following, they're going to expect it. So you can't alter from that.
Right now we do every Thursday, 8 o'clock premiere. No ifs, ands, or buts. But then what I was kind of thinking is maybe, because what I kind of did is that we started like a series on vlogging like people's flips. Mm-hmm. So we've done a couple of those. This week's going to be another one of those. But in between those, I wouldn't mind doing like a second series almost of the same vlog of like tips and tricks from us. Because like we're constantly learning new things. And if we can help others that are getting started avoid some of the pitfalls that we've fallen through, we're not that far ahead of them. Let's just keep bringing them up to us, right?
That's right.
The more people that are in this market, the better off we are. The better off everybody is. Right? The more people that'll get help, the more, And I mean, we're kind of transitioning into a flip, and there's plenty of flips for everybody. So if we can get people started in wholesaling, it's just going to help us. The more people we help, the more, you know what I mean? It's reciprocal.
But you need to stay ahead of them.
Like how so?
In terms of knowledge, in terms of connections, in terms of money. As you bring people in, they don't think the way that you do. You think correctly because you've got a good heart and you're smart.
Oh, don't say that. Don't make my head bigger.
No, but I'm telling you from my heart, it's the truth. People don't think like that. They don't have the same capacity or the same intention. And they will be out to eat other people's lunch. And let me just say that it sounds terrible, but it's a war out there. And I say that in terms of even my work. Like when I see what I need to do for people in Google, for clients, for businesses in Google, I've got to make sure that I am just dominating their competition, because the competition doesn't care about them, usually. The competition wants them to drop. The same thing's going to happen for you. That you're going to want to stay ahead of the curve. Yes, you want to bring people in, but you want to be better than them and stay that far ahead of them. Otherwise, they're going to just overtake you in some ways, and you don't want that. And by doing what you're doing, you will win. And you're doing that.
I've kind of got inspired from Max Maxwell, too. Have you ever heard of Max Maxwell? So,
I haven't.
It's not a big deal. A lot of people haven't. But he started in real estate investing 3 years ago. And he said that he blew $500,000 last year on whatever he wanted. That's in 3 years. Mm-hmm. And he started a YouTube channel 2 years ago, and in 2 years he's got 147,000 subscribers.
Love the guy. That's right.
And his whole philosophy is kind of like what I just said, which is just keep feeding knowledge out. And
please don't take me wrong. I'm not saying it's about when you give and give and give. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. It's really helping people. Absolutely. And a lot of people will not take that, and they won't use it.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, you can say whatever you want, but I don't think 99% of the people that hear the advice. It sounds great in the moment, but they'll never do anything with it.
That's a fact.
And that's not from me. That's that I've heard that on Bigger Pockets. I've heard that on Max Maxwell. I've heard that from Gary Vaynerchuk. I've heard that from everybody. Right? Uh-huh. Gary Vee says it all the time. You know Gary Vee?
Oh my! I watch him like almost. He's one of my guys, actually. He's amazing.
And he's really good at social. It's amazing what VaynerMedia has done in the last 10 years.
I know.
It's crazy the growth that they've had, and they're valued at almost $500 million.
It's crazy.
Social media company.
Amazing.
It's amazing. It's crazy. So you follow Gary Vee pretty closely.
Always. In fact, I'm taking a course from him right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what's that like?
This course is, he has his own style. People, I think, you either love him or just hate him. I love the guy because it's just so real. And the course I'm taking is about branding. And it's just, he just shoots from the hip. It's just the real thing. He's just awesome. That's the word.
His philosophy about brand beats product every time, I couldn't agree more.
That's why I said to you for weeks, even though we may not be getting leads so quickly because it takes time, we build the brand becomes authority, and you win. Because once you have your authority out there, and you're actually out there, you're not hiding in a garage somewhere, but you're able to take your authority and show the world who you are. People are going to say, I want to be like that guy, or I want to be part of that guy, or learn from that guy. They're going to come to you in droves. That's what happens. That's where this whole thing works. And all of a sudden it's just going to click. Boom. Calls coming in saying, this guy has his act together. He's got integrity. He's ethical. I want to work with this guy. He's the kind of guy I've heard people be talking about you in the street, and that's what Gary Vee says. What are they saying about you when you're not there? That's what's important.
Yeah, I 100%
It's
agree.
everything, really. It's what's your reputation. What are people thinking about you? How do they trust you? If they trust you, they'll do business with you. That's what's that about.
I think that's the whole base of all business, right? Is trust.
Absolutely,
you
everything.
Authority, yeah.
Exactly.
I know he gets a bad rap, but I like the sales strategies from Jordan Belfort. So I have the straight line persuasion. Do you know anything about Jordan Belfort?
In fact, I used to live near him.
Really?
I know all about him. He's the best salesman in the world. He's got great training, great, use it right. He does some very bad things, but you use his information right, you win. It's great stuff. It's great. We use it for our training.
Oh, really? The straight line persuasion?
Absolutely. We're actually training someone right now on that with his stuff.
Yeah, I have the SLP on my. I actually learned it because I did like a sales job selling DirecTV in Atlanta, and them guys were absolute killers. Like, you would like they started in Walmart. We stood in Walmart selling DirecTV to people that were just walking by, and then some of them guys were making hundreds of $1,000s a year doing nothing but selling DirecTV.
Wow.
Which is like $150 a pop.
Uh-huh.
How many customers? 1,000
That's
customers.
a lot.
It's a lot of customers. And the base of that was everybody went through the straight line persuasion. It's like life changing.
It is.
I think another thing that I find that I'm starting to learn as far as people that are successful versus unsuccessful is people that are successful have a tendency to invest in themselves. Like in the courses that you're talking about, stuff like that. I find that to be extremely prevalent.
That's, again, to me, that's everything. That's back to, again, it's sharpening the pencil. It's making yourself better and better and better. You take that and you just don't stop, and you apply it correctly. You apply what you learn to help others and bring them higher. That's what it's all about.
What instilled that in you? Just trial and error? Like, is there somebody that, where did that come from?
You mean for me?
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I remember one day I was in college and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm different than other people here. I don't know why, but I've got this thing inside that I just want to get better at what I do, in my life. Whether it's taking care of my kids, whether it's playing basketball or working my job, I want myself to develop and grow any way that I can to get better. Maybe it's a competitive thing, but it's something that you have. Some people just don't have that, or they're just lazy. I'm not that way, and I want to take that and give that to other people as well. It helps people.
So that was something you're born with.
I think it's a natural thing. And you know what? I will say that when you see things that you just feel you can't do, you just go after it and you try and make it work the best you can. I can't tell you how many times I've already discussed it. I've failed. When you fail, it's about how you get yourself up and how you get back on track. You do it because when you do that, you learn a lot and you give that to other people. It's experience.
I mean, you learn more through failure than anything else. We've learned way more from the deals we've lost than the deals we've gotten.
Exactly. And now you do it right as you go along. No one can just do it straight up at all. Nothing straight. The way you want it. It's almost like that stock market, up and down, up and down.
You just want the ups to be more than the...
Exactly. So as you get older and as you get more experience and you do the right things, your success comes. You connect with the right people. That's what I believe. But it's really about you loving what you do. If you've got that inner passion, you grow. That's when you kick some ass.
I hear you. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it tremendously.
How do you, where can people find you?
I'm at advancedwebsitestrategies.com, and it's my website, and ed at advancedwebsitestrategies.com.
And you guys are actively looking for more clients?
We're looking for clients, and we can help clients tremendously grow their business. We're looking to grow in Savannah and nationally, so.
I appreciate you coming on, man.
Love it. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
see you.
Okay.